Welcome, patrons, to Tavern Musings episode 1. It's going to be a podcast, and I am your host, Zoroth, and here is my buddy, Adriano. How are you doing, Adriano?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. So let's get cracking.
Let's cracking. All right, so today we are going to be talking about our review of CyberPUNK 2077. How have you played a lot of it, Adriano?
Yeah, I've played quite a bit, something like 20 hours or so or more.
Nice. I am slowly but surely. I think I've already climbed past the 150 mark. like not even joking. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about our review of the game and just what we thought, impressions, and discussing about the game. So we are gonna be talking about a lot of plots and stories within the game. So be warned, there are gonna be spoilers in here.
This also is a spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning. Big spoiler warning.
Big spoiler alert. This is
if you want to know the story, turn off the video right now and go play the damn game. You should be done by now, but whatever.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the game, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Let's go buy the game and play it. Don't buy it on the console. So that's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah.
So both of us have played on the PC version, so we understand that the last gen console versions are basically a complete disaster right now, but we're not really going to comment on that because we don't know the specifics, and our experience is mainly going to be PC. All right, let's get started. So, first impressions, Adriano, CyberPUNK 2077.
Great game. Even though there was so many delays, it didn't seem polished. But it's still a great game, but a lot of like little hiccups, little things that could have been better.
Yeah, like it got delayed so many times, right? Like, and like part of it I get, like COVID and all of that, and it's just like it's just a big disaster there. But like even with when the product actually came out, it really didn't seem like, like finished.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean the meme was it was gonna get released on 2077 with all the delays. So
I mean, it better be perfect if it's being released by 2077. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What about you?
I agree with you. I don't think it's perfect, but I do love the game. I think it's great. There's like it's not perfect as in like there's some glitches. There's a lot of just people cutting into the terrain, people glitching out, all sorts of really random stuff throughout the gameplays. And it didn't, but there's nothing that really broke the game. Like, didn't crash on me. And I think it was just, I think it did get worse though the more you progress into the story. Like initially it seemed pretty flawless, and then it just started getting like bumpy after that.
Yeah, it could be like a developer thing. Like they were
just ran out of time.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird because this game's been in development for like 10 years. But whatever.
I mean, that's like that's like another like interesting topic of just like, are people just not making, are just people too ambitious in their games, basically in their game projects.
Right. So no man.
That's another Tavern Musings episode. So moving on.
Yep. Moving on.
All right. Next topic is about the world, which is NUSA. I assume the N stands for New USA.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's ever told me in this game, so I assume it is. But I'm gonna start with Night City because obviously that's the focal point of the game. I love Night City. It is the prettiest city I have ever played a game in, and it's not just about like how big the city is, but like just the detail in there, like the buildings, like both horizontally but also vertically, just how high buildings are, like 49 floors, like skyscrapers. And the few moments that you can walk on it, you really gives you the impression of how big the city is for me. And it's like so colorful. And I think the best part about it that makes it just real to me is like the advertisements. The advertisements in the place, the TV shows, like they show you like little clips of like, shows going on here and there. And the best part is when they report the news to you, it actually shows you what you've been doing in the main gigs. It's like, oh, did you know someone blew up the Kangtao transport? It's like, that's me. I'm on the news.
I mean,
right?
I'm not gonna say it was me.
Yeah.
Implications.
Sorry. We're supposed to keep it down low. Sorry. Corps are
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for us. God damn it.
What are you doing, Zorok? Hey,
But yeah, so I think it gives like a really good realistic look into the city. And I think that realism just gives you an impact on the world. Like makes you feel like you really are working in the world and the world is paying attention to you.
yeah, no, definitely. It's something. It's interesting because like you were saying, like all the ads and stuff, and it's quite interesting because it changes from district to district. Not just ads, not just this, but even the architecture itself. Like if you're in like city center, bunch of high rise, a lot of corps outside,
Fancy
corporate
buildings,
people.
like
Yeah, crazy tall buildings. And then you go to Japantown, and it's kind of like a favela, but it's Japanese inspired architecture. There's a lot of like Japanese shops and stuff like that.
there's like
So
those
it's
sakura trees. Those are really pretty too.
yeah, yeah, and that goes from district to district. That's what's really like interesting about the game is just it's not all just like one kind of style. It just goes, you have your financial district, then you have the Japantown, which is kind of like mid, a lot of stores, a lot of like compartments of like apartments and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just really diversifies because you can drive through the city and you'd be like, whoa, I've never, like, you feel like you've never been there before.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
just, and yeah, it's just because it's always like a different experience every time you drive to somewhere
And I
or
think
walk.
the other part that helps with that is like the gang graffitis too, right? Like it's like because in the game, gangs occupy different districts, right? And it's not only the architecture which changes; it's also like the graffiti you see. Like they
Mhm.
mark their turf, so you see this like weird looking ass spider, and oh, I'm in Maelstrom territory. You see some fancy roses with a V, you're in Valentino's. Like
Yeah.
where you are based on also not only the distinct architecture, but also like the distinct like just style of like
Iconography that's around. Yeah.
the iconography, and it really gives like a personality, even though it's so simple. It's like you're literally just copy and pasting images all over the walls, basically. But
Yeah, but yeah, but you know that it's that district. Like you're like, oh, there's a bunch of Valentino, you know, markings on walls. This is Valentino area or territory. So yeah, that's actually like a good aspect on how they built and designed the city, Night City in itself.
yeah, like, and I think the other part about it is like the NPCs, and people have been talking about them. It's like, oh, look at the NPCs here. I think the biggest comparison is like GTA 5.
Yeah,
They're like, look at these NPCs. They don't fight back. They're just cowering. Like, oh, please don't shoot me, please. It's like, and they're not fighting. Like they're not doing anything useful. And I think I agree to a certain extent, as in like, yes, they could be better, but honestly, to me, I think they did their job. Like, they're you're never really supposed to interact with them. Like, they're not really like a big thing. And it's like
Mhm.
they're basically passively, what I call passively adding life and atmosphere. Like you're just supposed to get the impression that people are walking down the streets. Some guys walk like in front of like a food stall and stuff like that. It's like, at least to me, the part is that they got their NPCs right. Like when you see a food stall, you see a guy who looks like a chef. You don't just see some random NPC that's just
yeah.
spawned on it, right? At least they put some effort in saying, okay, only chef NPCs can be put here. Like at least it gives us some realism to it, and I think like it's not that bad, honestly. What do you think?
You know, my initial reaction to NPCs was like it could be better. You touched upon it, GTA. Very uninteractive crowd. They just run away, or you know, but like it's fun because a lot of little things, like you'll be walking down a street and you'll pick up a conversation that is pre-recorded
Right.
obviously, but it's an
Yeah.
interesting little nitpick that you can just like sit there and you can listen to these people,
Just like
NPCs.
gossip, basically listening to like
Yeah,
gossip on the streets. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just it's so funny because I have a particular experience at Lizzie's bar where you go for the first time and there's a patron there that's trying to chat up one of the dolls, and Oh, buddy, he was just like, all right, how much money do I have to dish out? And it was just like, it's like, man, do I have to sell my house or like
But
he was just
what he's trying to sell his house just because
yeah,
he's spending too
he's
much at the bar, right?
yeah, he wants that last like BD, and then he's just like, yeah,
Yo, those
should I
brain
sell?
dances, yo.
Should I sell my house to get this? I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy's is a gambling addict. He's just addicted to it. So I thought it was so funny because he was seriously contemplating, and then the funny thing is the doll was just like, "Oh, you don't have to do that. That's fine. We have a sort of like a payment process, plan that you can do." And
It's
it
like
was just like,
installments, right? It's like like
yeah,
for the cheap price of like one Eddie a month, you could have this brain dance. It's like
yeah.
no,
I thought that was so funny. It was just like,
yeah, no, I agree with you. Like there's so many and it's so easy to miss it sometimes because you're just running past something or you're doing a
yep,
quest or something. You don't even like I heard the most heartbreaking conversation that really talks about what cyberpunk looks like. So um you remember like there's like this place that you have to go to. It's like their like cemetery, I guess like their version of a cemetery. There's like lots of like
yeah.
tall pillars with people's like data inscribed there and like a little box of their I guess it's
I,
like their ashes, I think.
I think that's the police cemetery actually, or
Uh
something like that. Because
maybe.
I know you had a mission involving the police cemetery, but maybe that was just
Yeah, like just
coincidence.
I think it's a public one, but it doesn't like matter. But like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
heard literally the hardest conversation any parent has the right to go through. So I think the conversation is between like a child and like a parent, and then the parents like trying to do what we would do in modern day of like like when your partner dies and you're like your partner's like and they're saying oh your partner's in heaven, he or she's in a better place. Kid goes and responds, not even lying, saying, "But my friend, like Ted or whatever, says that their parents is in a better place than heaven. They're in Mikoshi, and they said that if we were rich like they were, then we could go see them every single day. Because if you're like in the Secure Your Soul program, for those who remember, it's like you basically clone your personality into a program basically, and you can either replay it or literally implant it onto a human being who's compatible with you. So this kid's friend literally is so loaded. They inputted
His parents.
their dead parents' personality into the thing and saying, I get to speak with my dead parent every day. Why is your parent in heaven? I'm like, how do you even fight this? Like this is like the most this is like the hardest conversation I've ever heard from a kid. I'm like, this kid just slammed brutality into the parent. The parent's like, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I'm sorry for you too. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, like it's actually such like a class divide in the game. Like if you can definitely tell it just by like walking around and stuff.
Right.
That the rich are just filthy rich, and then there's just a huge divide, and then there's the poor.
I know.
So
But like
yeah,
this shows you like yeah, like but I think this conversation just shows you like that divide so clearly. It's like your parent is dead. My parent is still semi alive. I can go talk to them every other day if I wanted to because I'm rich.
exactly, exactly.
And it's just like the price of like buying immortality basically. Yeah. Oh, that was NPCs I think are like yeah, they could use some work though.
I think it's more about like the NPC's interaction with one another is great. Like it's
Yeah.
like these conversations, but the NPC interaction with the user,
Could use some work, like could be an improvement and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
I
think
under
for me it's like also I think it's like one of the good things as well when I walk around Night City is that when I go towards places within the city, I just feel like, I don't feel bored almost like I don't leave the illusion that I'm in a fake city. I walk by, I hear some NPCs talking, sounds like a real thing in life. I walk past, there's a store, I walk past, there's Jigzig Street, there's another location, there's a gig. There's just stuff going on always in the city where I don't just come back to reality and be like, these are just placeholder buildings I can't go into. It doesn't give me that feeling. It
Yeah.
constantly draws me into that illusion.
No, it's like they actually designed it like a city. Like this, like you said, you go down Jig Jig Street, and you have a bar on one side. You have all your Joy Toys on the other side. You go down, there's food vendors, there's whatever, and there's apartment buildings, and in between that, there's people talking to each other.
All right, be honest, Adriano. Have you been visiting the Joy Toys a lot?
I went once because I wanted to see what it was. I only went once.
Yeah. How was it? How was it?
It was expensive.
How much was it? Actually, I've never used it. How much is it?
I don't know, maybe like 500 eddies. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Not worth it, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I was just like, yes, for a cutscene, whatever.
Whatever. We'll see. 500 eddies for a cutscene. What are the days?
Yeah.
But one thing I don't like about Night City, definitely though, I think we can both agree on, is driving.
Oh
like,
my!
I can't drive. I know I can't drive in real life, but I can't drive in this car either. Like, this car is like sliding on ice always. It's like, I don't even know. Like, it's like Gran Turismo, but like 15 times worse. It's like.
Yeah, what I do all the time is I'm looking at the GPS, and I'm like, okay, there's a turn that I have to do up ahead, but I don't even know where because it's only to the GPS. You see the map, and you're just like you're driving like, oh, I need to do a turn here, so you try hitting the brakes, but you're not stopping. You're just going.
You're just going straight.
You're just going. You can hit the brakes, the reverse. You can do whatever you want. Try to turn. You're not even going to turn. And you're just like, well, I guess I'll just get the next left. I guess I don't know. So
yeah, no, like every time I try to make a turn and like I'm braking and stuff like that, dude. I'm breaking down street poles. I'm running down people. I'm breaking it looks like a train wreck basically, and it's not even me trying. It's like this game literally punishes you for not being a safe driver. Like drive at 40 miles per hour, stick to the lanes. It's like
put your signals on. Like you have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, otherwise you're just screwed.
Man, yeah, no, and even on bikes too, it's very similar. Like it's so hard to do like a fast corner on a bike. It's almost impossible.
I think all the car. I think there's one car. I don't exactly remember the model type, but it's like those like larger cars which has like two wheels in the front.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember
yeah.
this. That one I've tried it once just because of a quest. I just stole the car from someone. It drives really well. Its controls really well. It's just slow. It's like a turtle.
Yeah.
So it's like it's okay, but I'm driving at like 80 miles per hour, and I'm just like, this isn't not what I wanted in the game, basically.
I get it. I'm just like fast travel is
fast travel. Like, thank God for fast travel. If I didn't have fast travel, I actually ran through the whole game because I refused to drive.
If it was like less than a kilometer away, I was running.
I was running. There's no way you're making me drive that.
Yeah, no, it's just like, and then you might as well do like a little police crime here or there.
Yeah, just might as well, oh, I see a side quest, and that's a good thing too, right? Like driving sometimes makes you miss those details, like miss that little quest over there, that gig, that conversation. It actually promotes running, so maybe bad driving's a good thing. We don't even know.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say about driving, there's a like crazy quest line that goes out. You go after cars, and you have to buy these cars. Not worth. Do not buy any single car unless you like that car, but don't buy it.
Yeah, like unless you really like, why, right?
Yeah,
like I think there's an achievement for it, but I'm like, really though? Like it's just an achievement that I have too much money and I don't know what to do with it, kind of deal.
Yeah, that's for the achievement hunter guys or girls,
right?
It's like, just want to complete everything, and it's just like. It's it's not worth, and B, it's definitely not worth.
Yeah, like it's like bad and bad. Like look at all the billions of other things you could be spending your eddies on that you bought it on a car that you're not really going to use.
Yeah, and there's so many that you have to do too.
Oh yeah, no. Anyway. I think there's like at least like over a dozen, give or take.
Yeah, I think the number is 18 or 16.
Jeez.
So. And they're not cheap either, and it's kind of hard to get.
Yeah, no, I think the most expensive one's like 225K eddies, give or take.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. But moving on from Night City, though, we do have a little bit of what they call the Badlands. So like the area like right outside the city, more like you can say like rural territory.
Yeah, just imagine kind of like Arizona desert kind of vibe.
Yeah, like like
You know, like it's
Godsmack middle of nowhere kind of deal.
yeah, a lot of cactus, a lot of sand,
So the solar panels,
solar panels everywhere.
literally
Uh,
everywhere.
yeah, you'll hit one for sure.
What do you think
Uh,
about it?
you know, could there be more? Yes and no, because it kind of like it's supposed like I like it how it's a contrast to Night City. Um, you know, the little towns are really nice. It's like really like unique. Each little town is like different from the last. Uh, it's just that even the conversations and such within these towns on NPCs are totally different from the ones having in Night City and Japantown and all those other city centers and stuff. So it serves a purpose, but it was kind of like you can tell that they focused on Night City, definitely, and maybe had like a smaller team work on the Badlands. But I think it's nice. I like it personally.
I think for me, the actual thing that I appreciated the most is the noise or the lack thereof. Like Night City is very loud. There's always something going on. There's like gun shooting here, car going down here, someone screaming over there, and it really gives you that contrast when you're in like the Badlands doing nothing at night, just standing there, and it's so damn quiet. There's like nothing. There's like
There's nothing.
there's nothing really. And it's like it's almost peaceful in a way. Like it's like kind of like why people like go to cottages. It's like I'm done with city life for a bit. I need to go to a cottage.
Yeah,
I get
but
you.
but Night City people don't leave. Night City
You
to
don't
go to
leave
the
Night City, at
Badlands.
least not in one piece. Like you might.
No, you're not going by choice. That's
You're not
for sure.
going by choice. You're probably running at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else to add for the Badlands section?
No, I like I said, it's large, fast. There's a lot of like empty space, which makes it seem so big. Because compared to Night City, everything's so clustered together because it's like a really dense city. So when you go to the Badlands and everything's spaced out, it really feels spaced out, which is nice. Even though it's not actually like super spaced out, it feels that way because again, Night City is so dense and so compact. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, I find it's a really good contrast. It adds a lot to, you know, it just adds a lot to Night City to just as a comparison as to what you know emptiness is, and then you have Night City.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's definitely potential there that could have been built upon, but I guess like most of the resource was pooled in Night City, which is fair to like to be
Yeah,
honest. Like that's where most of the stuff happens. So I don't really mind it per se.
yeah.
And I think there's like one topic that we really have to address that everyone's going like absolutely bonkers about, and that's swimming. And like people were saying, oh, like was it I think like bullets or bombs don't explode in the water or they don't reflect on the
Yeah,
water. Your
there's no
swimming animation's
flash.
weird.
Yeah, it's swimming. It didn't need to be in this game. I'd rather just insta die because of my cyberware or something.
It used to happen, right? In the old games, like when you accidentally fall into the river, it's like you're dead,
You're dead. And I was just like, I would rather like I would think, oh, all the weight of my cyberware just dragging me to
And
the bottom.
all the guns we have in our loot. Don't lie. There's a lot of guns there.
Yeah, that's a lot of guns.
Yeah, like
So
I don't understand why people are making a fuss over this. I'm like, okay, yeah, their swimming is terrible, but like honestly ask yourself in your replay, how many times are you swimming? Like you're not swimming. Like maybe like what, once, twice?
there's once where you have to jump in to escape something.
Yeah.
And then another one, it was an accidental, like I kind of like slipped off the edge and landed in water.
Right. Like
But
why would you care about something it's like next you're gonna tell me the flying is not good. I'm like, well, I don't need to damn fly in this game because there isn't any flying in this game. Like why are you complaining about all these stupid things, right?
yeah, that's yeah, swimming, like there's nothing in the water that you can find. Maybe there's like I did see a sunken car because that was part of the mission.
Right.
But then again, it was just that one instance.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do anything in the water. It's literally if you want to explore, there might be an Easter egg down there. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly.
Because there is a consumable that allows you to breathe on the water for like 10 minutes.
Right.
So
I held on to those, right? Because I'm like, maybe there's a quest that makes me dive under something and I have to go figure it out. So I kept like 10 of them. I'm like, I've never
yeah,
used a single one. Like, why am I having these in my inventory?
yeah, that's
Like, the only quest that I can remember that actually makes you go underwater is like the one with Judy. When you have to go down with her, you explore this town that's been submerged and you see what, like corporations have done to take over Night City. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's the only time. But that one's like scripted. Like you follow like a
yeah,
routine, everything's scripted.
you're kind of on like you're on rails essentially,
Exactly.
right? So
Right.
yeah,
And I think like final mention would be like the shards people get. Shards you can see all over the world on corpses, people,
just
tables, whatever.
everywhere. They're everywhere.
First thoughts.
If you take the time to read them, they add a lot to like the atmosphere of Night City and
Yeah.
even the Badlands. If you don't read them, you're not gonna lose
Right.
anything from the experience of playing Cyberpunk, but it definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Right. Like to me they remind me of like, those books from like Oblivion, right? It's like
Yeah,
or Skyrim. Like they're really nice. They give you very rich lore and I admire the writers who spend the effort to write all those things. But if you
absolutely.
don't read them, it also won't be the end of the world. You won't miss anything. It's like
Yeah,
it's not
they
some
might, well,
major plot detail.
there are some shards that give you eddies if you hack them.
Yeah, like those are like
But
kind of interactable ones, right? But like
yeah, but
like generally speaking for the lore ones, it's like it's
the
great.
majority
It's
of them
cool.
are lore. Majority of them are lore related. They're not
Exactly.
eddies or anything. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think overall our impressions of the world are pretty positive. Like I think they've built Night City and USA as a whole. I think they've built that pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's very complex. A lot of levels to it. It's very deep. It's very yeah.
It's nice.
well done. It's well done. Yeah.
It's well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to like the stories and the gig. Like, here of course, spoiler warning again. If you still haven't left, it's your problem now. It's not ours.
Yeah.
You
Listen,
deserve it.
we had a whole bit in the beginning. It was this.
This
You're
is
here
this is
now.
the major spoilers. If you're still here and you are angry about this later, it's not our fault. I don't care about you anymore.
Like,
I'm sorry. Uh, all right. So let's start from the beginning then. Life paths. So life paths, for those who remember, are the three different types of, I guess, like origin stories you can have for V. First one is nomad. So you come from a nomad clan, which are like kind of, I guess they're like, as the name says, like nomad groups that roam around NUSA to do random stuff, merc work and stealing and smuggling. Then there's the street kid, which means you come from a gang in Night City, so Valentinos in this case.
Yeah.
And the third one is corpo. So you used to work with Arasaka actually, as their like I think counter intel agent, and twists and turns happen. But basically, all of them have like a little individually unique starting bit, and then it goes like, and then it all reaches the same end point basically, right? And I think my first impression of that is I wanted more from it. I'm not saying what they have is bad. I'm saying what I wanted was more. I wanted my origin to actually matter a lot more than in Night City. In the game, you basically have different speech options depending on your origin, and you get one gig. I'm pretty sure it's only one gig that is unique to your origin story, and it usually offers a closure to some character that you've met in the origin story. And I think that's just not good enough. I thought there would be more influence. And I actually spent a long time actually like contemplating, oh no, which one do I want? What influence will it have? Do I get to see different things because of it? And the answer is no, you don't, for the most part, honestly. Like, and I think I found that to be really disappointing. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like you said, the starts, like the first prologue missions for each origin, super good. Like I loved it. It was absolutely great. They're so unique. the atmosphere is different, where you're coming from, how you get to where you end is all different. But the problem is, after that prologue, you see the same cutscene as any other of the three origins, and then you play the same game.
Yeah.
Like literally, your origin choice does not matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Like,
It's so disappointing because I was just like, it'd be sick, if I could, I don't know, if I went nomad, right? The nomad mission, you're smuggling Jackie and an iguana in
yeah.
into Night City.
Apparently, those are rare now.
Yeah, super rare, and like they'll kill you if if you don't give it back. Anyways, um, and like you're just like, okay, sick. Like maybe there's I'll have like more interaction with nomads, like or whatnot, right? And you're just like, okay, you get some text options, some speech options, and then a
That's it.
mission, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the
And the
ending.
mission's not even good. Is my issue with it, right? Like, give me one mission, but it's really good.
Yeah,
I'm down.
like I would be okay with that, right? If it was just like a super involved mission where there's like it's built on like so many like personalities, and because like that would make it feel impactful to choose
Right.
one of the origins, right? And like for example, I my first playthrough was a nomad,
Right.
right? And I was like, okay, cool. And then I thought that Pan Am was my like nomad like option, and that whole storyline. I thought that was all nomad
Oh,
related.
just because like you're nomad and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, right. I thought that's what it was, but then I looked that up. And I'm like, no, everyone gets that mission. I'm just like, oh, okay. And then I was like, all right, my next playthrough then was Corpo, and I'm like, oh, sick. I have like $150,000 starting cash. I'm like, damn.
You're loaded. Time to
I,
buy that car.
I was just like sick, dude. I'm gonna just get every cyberware ever, and then it's just
Exactly.
like it literally doesn't matter because you start in the same spot, and it's just yeah, they could have incorporated the origins way better throughout the story. Like I don't even think it would be that hard to be honest, because like literally everything is almost would be the same. It's just you know like if I was a nomad going into speak with Rogue, right? For example, the first time you meet Rogue, then
Right.
she'll be like, I don't know, you smell like country or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like they could have like NPCs and like the world can have more interaction with you because like generally speaking, nomads are people don't really like nomads because there's no affiliation with anything,
Right.
right? And when they go into Night City, so people don't really trust that almost. So I was expecting people to be able to bring it up like, oh, you're a nomad, this or that, blah blah blah. But no, nothing. And then same thing with Corpo, and it's just like I didn't play Street Kid, so I can't really comment on that. But
Right.
Corpo, I was like, okay, maybe I thought I was gonna see more stock stuff, more corporate missions, but
Exactly,
it was
right?
just the same. And
Like, yeah, like if you're corporal, like like you get like your mission is the guy who you talked to in the beginning. He's like, I'm being hunted. I have something to backstab Abernathy with, and I
yeah,
want to give it to you. And you're like, okay, that sounds cool. You get to go against a counter intel officer who's like high ranking in Arasaka. Oh, that sounds like a good mission. No, the guy just wants to kill you, and he is technically completely unarmed. And just like, what is the point of you giving me this mission? Just so I can
yeah,
kill some random person for free. It's like that's really boring to me. And it's like really half-assed also in that sense.
yeah. It's like they put so much effort into the starting origins. They put so much effort into that, and then it's just that's where it ended.
That's where that's the amount of effort we're putting. Period. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all you get.
I'm sorry, but text speech options that literally give me no other impact other than maybe I say one extra line or one different line and has no other impact into the game. That's not
That's
that's
not. Yeah, that's not
that's
good
nothing.
enough.
That's
Yeah,
that's nothing. Like I could literally have said any other of the text options, and the outcome is still the same.
exactly.
Like why?
Right,
Why?
exactly. Like like, and so I think like it had really good potential. It really like flopped there. I think in that sense.
Yeah.
How about the other stuff though, like the like main story? Side gigs.
Um, well, it's interesting because gigs, so quests for other people who don't know, or missions, are all you can approach them differently, and depending on how you approach it and how you execute that mission, you can have a different outcome,
Right.
which is absolutely great.
Right.
Uh, one I'm going to talk about is that initial mission to get the flathead to in order to
Right.
go into
The
Aristotle
Maelstrom
Tower.
gang, right? I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Maelstrom game. So your whole thing is you have to go in, try to buy this flathead, this like little device off of this gang, and a lot of options and like different paths you can take to that. Like you can uh kill the gang leader and then take it from there and then fight on your way out, or you can just give him the money. You can threaten him because he's going to try to kill you, and you're just like, yo, listen buddy,
Yeah.
get out of here. And then you can do that. And also there's another thing, like this is like a whole like gang inter gang war. Like this gang leader is brand new. He just overthrew the other gang leader. You can kill both gang leaders, and it's
Something
so
else
funny.
happens, basically, right?
Yeah, so one of the gang leaders is actually in a prison cell, and and you could take him out. You just need to find the key, like the code to unlock the cell.
Right. Okay.
It was funny because I was like, oh, look, there's a computer right beside it. I go on the computer and it's like C4 detonation. What the fuck is this? So then I press the button to turn on the C4, and all I hear is a. I was like, oh no. I look back at the cell, and there's just a pile of mush where the leader used to be.
This is not how you save a hostage that has a bomb strapped to them. Just saying.
This is not a how-to guide.
This is not how to guide on saving hostages.
No, definitely not. Because I was just like, ooh, C4, detonate, and yeah. So that's and it's so interesting because like you if you side with uh the gang, right? Like if you're like, oh, here's the money, and you don't kill them, you then have to kill this like military group that tries to invade, and
Right.
then at the end they're just like, okay, you can go, we're just going to clean up in here. And or depending on how you play out that mission, the people you meet at the end, the outcome, the way you play the mission is totally different. And that's another thing, and that's just one example, right?
Right.
That's you can literally do this with almost every single mission. You can approach it differently, you can execute it differently, and your outcome will be different, which is really great. Like actually like super good.
Yeah.
Because like you, for example, you like I've done that particular mission 4 times now, and I've gotten 4 different endings, and
That's a
it was
lot. For like a
yeah
one quest, that's a lot of
for
endings.
one quest, and it's not even like a crazy quest. I mean, it's technically a necessary quest to
It's like a
do.
main storyline kind of thing.
Like at the end of the day, you leave with the flathead, yes, but there's surrounding environment changes that happen. Like the leader of the gang changes, or there is no leader of the gang anymore because you killed them both.
Because you killed them all. You just blew one up accidentally and gunned the other one down. It's
Yeah,
like
and so that's a great aspect that the game really like hit on, and yeah, I mean, I love that sort of way of doing missions. Like you can do it however which way you want, and the outcome will always be different.
yeah.
So that's really nice.
Yeah, like for me, I totally agree with the fact that I think the questing in this game is masterfully done because it does two things I like. One is that you have different choices, so how do you approach the quest can matter. And
Yeah.
the second one is that there's consequences. There's very serious consequences of what you do. Just from simply like the difference between talking to someone one way or another, or taking money or not taking money, has severe consequences of how other people react to you and how this quest is done. And yes, most of these are going to be in terms of the main quest line, but there's even some side gigs that also have the same kind of like variability and like the way you approach it and stuff like that. And I think that's really what makes the quests here so cool, and it makes me want to actually replay the game. Like even if it's not replay the game, maybe I want to load up again, say I want to do this mission, the same mission second
But a
time, just to
different
see
way.
what happens, right?
Yeah.
I also want to see if I don't blow up this guy with the computer by accident, what happens if he lives? It's like, what happens? I don't know. I blew him up the first time. It's like, what happens? And And I think that's the best part about the questing here, because it really makes me, very few quests makes me want to replay it, because it's usually like, oh, I'm done here, and the other one is very predictable. It's like either kill A or B. Okay, like, whatever kind of deal.
Yeah,
But it never really matters in the grand scheme of things. And so it's like, I think that's also like a really, and I think the other thing is that, um yes, I'm not saying all the side gigs are perfect. Some side gigs are really bland, to be honest. You go in, kill somebody, you go in, steal something,
yeah,
whatever. And I'm okay with that. No one's gonna expect you to design 100 different unique quests. That's just asking way too much at this point.
yeah,
But I like that there's a good mix. Not just the main quest. Some games have like the main quest is super nice and all the side quests are trash.
yeah,
And it's like, I like that there's a mix. Even side quests, there are some super interesting ones, and then there are some that are just basically like placeholders, like kind of fillers in a sense, right? And I'm okay with that. I like the variety that they're giving me, really. And so, and I think that also one of the other points is that the sidekicks really give me an insight into how Night City works. Like, for example, there's a quest where I'm helping the Perels, I think that's their name. They're like a bunch of up and coming politicians. They're a family of politicians, and
yes,
you're
yes.
trying to help them out, and you get to know what the politics of Night City is like, what the mayors are doing, what the corporations are doing.
Because someone had assassinated the mayor,
Right,
right?
like, yeah, because
That was
the
the
mayor died of natural causes. Like he died of natural causes. Everyone's like sus, imposter syndrome all over the damn place.
yeah,
And you find that there's like the city is really dark. There's like a lot of political like corruption. There's like
corruption. Yeah,
briberies, threats, killings. And you really, it gives you another look into the city and makes it even more lively because you add a lot of dimensions to it. You make it more like complex, right?
yeah. It's not just a bunch of buildings and random people walking around. There's actually like a whole like ecosystem. That's there's politics. There's social classes. There's economic classes. There's so
Exactly.
much.
Like there's it just makes it feel like a real city. It's just so complex. There's so many people involved. But I think you said that you had one quest that you were really annoyed about. I think it was like Cyber Psychos or something.
Oh my god, the cyber psychos. I spent so long and I tried so hard to save every single cyber
We had
psycho.
to save them too. That's the worst part. We can't
You
kill
you,
them.
you
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 can't just
can't.
gun them down.
Yeah, you have to get them low enough so that they technically like pass out, right? But you can still execute them if you wish. But you try your hardest because cyber psychosis is this thing in the game where so much cyberware in your system can essentially make you go crazy,
You
right?
just berserk basically, right?
Berserk.
Basically.
Yeah, you can go on a killing spree, right? So, there's this one fixer that believes that there's a cure for cyberpsychosis. So she asks you to hunt down these 17 super cyberware.
Not one, not two,
No,
not three,
no,
17.
17 of these people. Hunt them down. Don't kill them, and and in response, she is going to like see if she can cure it or get someone to cure that. The issue I have is it's not easy. A lot of these guys are like upper tier, like higher level bosses and stuff like that. What you have to do, I mean, sorry, at the end, it's just you get a text saying, "Yeah, thanks, good
Oh
job."
yeah, no. They paid you like 1.7k eddies as well. They gave you like a small extra bonus reward.
I, what is 1.7K? I can get that in junk alone. Never mind.
Which we will talk about. Later.
But
Yeah, like it's so stupid. Like this is probably the longest side quest that you can do too.
oh
Like
yes,
it's the
yeah,
most
that and
complex.
the
It's
cards. The
18
cards are
gigs in
another.
total, including the last one, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
and it's just they're so interesting. Each one is interesting because there's so much like backstory that you can learn from. Like you can learn who the person was or whatever.
What happened to them?
Yeah, and you're like you get invested because you do this thing 17 times, and each time it's different. So that's like really interesting as well. But in conclusion, it's just such a letdown because you're just like, so did they get cured? Are they
Exactly.
okay? Or
Like they're just like, oh, treatment's going well, no results yet. I'm like, what? Like time is ticking. I got gigs to do. Like tell me what's going on.
There's a fucking virus in my brain. Let me know.
Exactly. It's like do something. And I think that's probably one of the bigger blunders. I think I agree with you. The Cyber Psycho fights are so interesting. Like one of them actually scared me. Like
Yeah.
the one that where they're doing some satanic ritual where they're summoning from like a refrigerator.
Oh my god, yes.
Dude,
yes.
that one scared me. I actually was so scared the first time. I'm like, what is? I didn't know I was playing a horror game. Like the music, the app, like you hear this like blurring, screeching kind of thing.
Oh my gosh,
dude,
yes.
I liked it, but not 17 of them. It's like why?
I mean,
and it's like
if it was 17, isn't really the problem for me, because like each one was different and unique. So I was like, okay, this is like still very interesting.
Okay.
It was just after doing 17, I expected some fucking hospital to be built in my name.
Yeah, statue. Here is Adriano, savior of cyberpsychosis. It's like
right, like put like a drink or something after me or something. I don't know, man. Like, dude, it's sorry. It's just it's 17 is a lot, but then again, it wasn't repeated.
Right.
It's not like go steal this thing 17 times.
Right.
But it's just the accumulation of 17 missions, and you're so invested. You learn so much about these people, and then it's just
nothing.
They're being treated.
It sucks.
I'm like, oh, all right.
And I
that's
think
literally sorry to cut you off again.
No, yeah.
It's literally the thing that you like outside of the main story quest. It's probably the thing you spend most of the time doing.
Exactly, right? Like they're all over the city too. Like they're not just in one location. They're like everywhere.
No, they're everywhere. The whole
city is infested with them, and you are like stamping them out like a dedicated rodent killer or rodent subduer because you can't kill them.
Yeah, you can kill them. You're
trying not to, basically.
Yeah, you're trying not to. Like you get a stern word from her, and she's just like, it's a shame you really killed them. You didn't really have to kill them.
They were they were savable, miraculously by some way,
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I think the other thing that I really was disappointed in was the lack of like gangs in gigs. Other than just being the enemy. No, like we do all sorts of gigs where the gang is the enemy, we have to go kill them. Fine.
Yeah, like
but working with the gangs. Right?
Yeah, that would have been an interesting thing, right? Like for example, every mission that you did, one particular gang was just like a bodyguard to that thing that you're trying to do. And it's just like, I would have liked to do missions for gangs, right? That would have been interesting, like an interesting aspect, like, And
the only one we do is like the Voodoo Boys, and they basically just try to backstab you at every corner. And it's like, and it's like, what is the point of me trying to do anything, right? And it's like they're the only ones where you really have some sort of like closer interaction with as a gang, and maybe like the Flathead one with like the Maelstrom gang, right? But that's like in the main story. But like the other ones like Tiger Claws, Valentinos, 6th Street, Animals, you barely touch them.
You don't know how they are, who they are. You just know that they're like the bad guy.
Yeah, like you know basically the premise of how they operate, but other than that, you're like what the hell are you guys doing here?
What's your mission? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, are you just a gang for gang related reasons? Like,
you're just like another NPC bot I have to shoot down to complete a gig, and it really hurts because I remember seeing a trailer they did, introducing all these gangs, the Voodoo Boys, Bat Snap Runners in Town, Animals, Implant Monsters that are like Hulks, each of them,
Yeah.
If you're gonna hype them up to me, at least make them worth the hype,
Exactly.
Otherwise, there's not really like much of it, basically. And like we're gonna briefly skim over the endings, just because, just talk about like a little bit, because there is a lot of different endings that you can choose from.
Yeah.
And I honestly was okay with them. I know some people were like a little unhappy that there's no happy ending.
Like per se, yeah.
Per se, like V is actually alive, well, has achieved everything.
Johnny's not in his head.
Johnny's not in his head. There's no like, he's not, his body's not killing him.
Yeah.
But like I don't mind it,
Kind of makes sense.
I'm okay with that ending, and I'm okay with all the. I just like that there were choices you could make. Like your ending wasn't fixed. You could actually choose how this would end.
Yeah,
Up to the very last step for every single one of them, and I really like that. How
yeah.
about you?
It's the endings were, there's a few different endings, and it the way they did end, you don't really know what happens to V, which is you, the main character.
Right.
And you're just like, okay, maybe there's Cyberpunk 2077 Part 2, or maybe there's a DLC coming up that expands what happens after the whole raid on whatever.
You
And
you think you think so? Like a lot of the endings basically like obviously there's a few that confirms he's dead. Like if you sell your
yeah,
soul to Arasaka, but I mean most of them point out that he's pretty dead. Like the only exceptions would be like if Johnny takes over and you
you
live through
become
John.
you become
You
John.
become Johnny basically.
I
But
mean,
otherwise,
there's also like since like you've technically become a legend and you save your consciousness on a shard, you could re-upload into another body, and then you're
I
this
guess.
legend because you're essentially you become as infamous as Johnny Silverhand. So maybe that's an avenue Arasaka or whatnot takes. Is like, yo, listen, we're booting you back up to this mission, and then meanwhile you're doing, you're just trying your best to just live longer than your mission time, So
True.
that might be something like interesting, or worth looking
It's
into. But
definitely interesting. It does leave it open to interpretation, as you say.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It's interesting. I actually when I first finished the game, I was thinking of like, there's no way they're going to do a second of this game. Like this is it kind of deal. Like they might do
yeah,
something in this universe, but not this.
yeah,
But I think
probably
I
will
think
be
what you
DLC.
brought up is interesting. There might be a chance. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if anything, there'll probably be a DLC of some kind. Like a post mortem kind of thing, like life after the last mission.
Right.
But I actually doubt that now that I think about it, because
Suddenly changing your mind here, huh?
yeah, I mean, it literally just clicked on like, why would they do that? Because then it doesn't leave anything up to interpretation, and then so on and so forth. So they probably won't do that. But I mean, they could. I think there is planned DLC for this game. Um, like free DLC, because they've CD Project Red has done that before with The
And the
Witcher.
Witchers, yeah,
Yeah,
they have
so
a good reputation still in the market.
yeah, thank God
Other
for
than
that game.
this game, like kind of
This
kind
game
of hurting
kind
a
of
bit.
scared him. Yeah, this game, because it's too much hype. But that's another time.
But yeah,
But yeah, it's yeah. The endings are okay. Like
okay.
they're not Mass Effect 3 endings. So
Don't talk to me about Mass Effect 3 endings. We're we're not going there. That's another episode in itself.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But speaking of like endings and like all the people involved, right? What do you think about the characters?
Oh man, the characters. Where do we begin? Uh, there's certain characters that they hit the nail on the head. Like they're so spot on. They're so good. They're so relatable. Like you care about these characters, but and that's just like like a very closed
Very
fist,
very tiny amount of them.
very tiny amount. And then everyone else is just so lacking. Like there's like you could care less about these people, even though you shouldn't. But they don't, I don't, either the way they voice acted, or just your interaction with them is just so limited, or just so linear, that you're just like, okay, like I have to talk to you because that's what I have to do, not because, like for example, there was times after I found out what happened to Jackie in my next playthrough, I was trying to call Jackie after every like side mission to see what would happen. But
That's some
and
dedication, man. That's some
yeah,
dedication.
dude, Jackie is the prime example of how to develop a character, how to make him lovable, and then you do such a tragic thing to this guy that you're just like, damn.
Like to be fair, that is his design purpose, right? He's that good
Right,
guy
right.
where everyone loves, and then it makes it when he dies that much more saddening, basically for you, right?
Yeah,
But
it's
Jackie Wells is such a good character. Like holy
Jackie.
shit.
Yeah, just in general, I wish there was more missions. Like, you know, that in that, like, after that initial like prologue mission that you do, and then there's that like whole like trailer or clip that uh
Oh, like
is
you guys living your life for like 6 months or something like that.
yeah,
Really?
I would have loved to have played something in that those 6 months, you
Right.
know?
Like I get that they don't have the time, so they're just trying to tell you, hey, you bonded with this guy. You guys are best bros. You're the amigos. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
but I would want some of that. You know, it's like, but I also get why they didn't do it. Is what I would say, right? Like, they the purpose was to show you in the shortest amount of time possible that you guys are really close,
exactly.
right? But what would you say are other, like, you know, if you say Jackie Wells is like a good example, what's a bad example?
Uh, Misty, definitely. Jackie's girlfriend.
Right.
Uh, you your only interaction with her is with tarot cards, and not and that's barely anything. She can do one tarot card reading, and that's it. And you're just like, well, okay, like you would think, like, you have this whole, like, when Jackie dies, a whole part of the funeral, you're talking to her, you're bonding with her, and you're like, okay, sick, like, maybe there's something going on here. And then,
All right,
after
okay,
that,
okay. There's nothing going.
no, no, no,
Don't
no,
go after.
not in that way, not in that way, not in that way. Yo, listen, bro code,
Broco,
bro code.
that's a no right there.
No, what I meant was, like, there might be like a mission quest line, something that's like there, like trying to like help her like post Jackie's death, but there's nothing, you know. And the tarot cards just whatever, and you're just like, okay, like, all right. And then even Jackie's mom, where you're just like, okay, she's like this like figure leader in the community. You thought you would have more interaction with her.
Right, especially like after like the funeral and like stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because like you see everyone that goes to the funeral, right? Like, you had like a few gang leaders. You have Padre go there, and you're just like, okay, maybe there'll be like, clearly these people are here for her and for Jackie, but like,
There's no follow up basically after
yeah,
that,
like
right?
after Jackie's funeral, you don't even interact with her ever again.
I can't even find her half the time. Like sometimes she's standing there, but you can only ask like the same three generic questions, and you can't really say like, you know, like let's have dinner. Like she's been asking me for dinner the entire game.
Yeah, like, let me go actually have dinner with this woman.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I do agree with you. Like there's some characters that I think are really nice, and it's just I wish there was more chances to interact with them. Like honestly, for me, like Misty, Mama Wells, really good examples. I think one of the examples for me is Victor. I really like Victor. I
yeah,
think Victor is like a really nice guy. You know, he's like a chill old man, almost. You know, old in Night City terms. You know, and you get to like talk to him more, and maybe like like in the fighting side quest, you get to see a talk to him for like 2-3 lines. But that's to me is like it's just not enough. Like I want more to do with them.
yeah,
And I think the other one that I think another good example of actual good character progression is like actually Takemura. So
yeah,
Takemura is the ex-bodyguard for Saburo Arasaka, and you know you really learn about him. Like at the beginning, he detests you. He thinks you're like some low-born filth. He's just grabbing you to get executed.
yeah,
But you get to really learn about that character. He used to be in the slums worse than you were, the highest kill rate slum in the district. And he survived, he gets trained to become a super soldier, and he's like, which brings me to my issue here, in
yeah,
that there are some characters that sometimes don't make sense to me. For example, Takemura. Kill guy, love the guy. He is literally the bodyguard of Saburo Arasaka, the strongest man, the guy who literally rules the world.
yeah. The
How
richest
are you
man in the
so
world.
useless? Like,
I Oh, dude, I thought this guy was gonna be some badass motherfucking samurai ninja. Like,
exactly.
I thought it was just gonna be like,
He even has like his throat thing, and it looks like those
yo,
samurai armor kind of thing.
I wanted that on my guy so badly. You
Yeah,
can't get it.
right?
I was like, yo, this is so cool. I was just this guy. He looks so badass, and then he's just like, what the hell? I understand why Arisaka died now. Like, it makes sense.
It's like, you're so useless. No wonder your boss died. Like, if you're the bodyguard, we're all screwed, kind of deal, basically.
Like, you would, like you said, you would think that being the bodyguard to the richest man in the world, that you would be this like top notch like fighter, like just like deflecting bullets with blades.
Top tier implants, professionally trained. You know.
Yes. He's a really bad detective too.
Right? Like he's like going to other people. It's like, I don't trust him. Well, I'm like, do it yourself, but you can't because you're useless. You know, it's like I think, and the other one that I'm really disappointed with, not gonna lie, is Adam Smasher. Adam Smasher, legend of Night City. Yes. You see him in the prologue, he kills Johnny Silverhand. He's coming in, big, like he's like a big suit of armor, holding a gun, bam, 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 right?
Yeah.
You see him in 2077, he's literally cyborg now. Like, he's full gear, full robot. You're like, that guy looks like... Right, just a human head. You look at him and you're like, this guy's gonna do damage. Like, you know, he's gonna do some serious damage. I fight him in the final mission. He's just running at me, swinging his fist at me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't you have rockets built into you? Machine guns? Anything? Like, come on.
Something, you know? Like, look at all that tech he's wearing. What is that for?
What are you doing? Like, why are you just chasing me? He's just chasing me running. And I'm like, pathetic. Like, it's so pathetic. I couldn't even get used to it. Like, and he's talking big through. He's like, "Oh, you guys are weak," and I'm like, "Well, no, you're just trash." That's like,
just try to catch me, big guy.
Exactly. And it's just really, like, some characters are just. I agree. I think the problem is that there's almost too many characters. They're trying to stuff too many people into your life at the same time, and you really never get to like bond with any of them. And I think that one of the main problems I have with this is that I think I realized this near the end, where because I'm not bonding with these people too well, I don't really care if my character dies. Like, when, like, citing the thing that, the trauma that Adriano was trying to bring up with me, Mass Effect 3, right? Yeah. Like, I loved my whole crew. Everyone. Yeah. I love Joker, Edie, Liara, Tali, whoever the hell you want. I loved all of them. Every time one of them dies, my heart breaks, shatters, and I sob.
I reload. I was like, "Yeah, you're not dying."
If you die, I'm like Mass Effect 2. I reloaded the game multiple times just to make sure I get perfect endings. Like, I'm not joking. Like,
no, I was the same.
And I think that's why I was so pissed. Right, when the ending came, I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I'm so invested in this. You can't just do this to me. But in here, I'm like, I'm not really invested into anyone here. Like, I'm invested into Jackie and he's dead. I'm invested into, like, maybe I'm not really invested into anyone else. I don't really give a damn about anyone else. Like Misty and the others, but I don't really talk to them, And it's like, I don't really care if my character dies. It's like, I'm not angry because I don't really care at this point. And I think that's really sad because I should care, but I don't.
Yeah, it's too much, like, too many people that you're meeting for the first time, and then again, you're not even really interacting with them other than a scripted phone call that you get sometimes.
Like, I think one side note is that the text messages they send to you are actually really nice. I think they're good at building personality without actually wasting time doing cutscenes and stuff. Yeah, I think that's really nice. Like, Takemura's ones are actually hilarious. Like, they're like the funniest things I've ever received.
The guy does not know how to text.
The guy doesn't know modern technology. Like, he's so confused about the world. It's actually hilarious.
Which also makes no sense, but we're gonna just keep going.
We're just gonna put him as like a lost cause. That's why Saburo died, not because of Yorinobu. It's just because he's stupid and useless.
Yeah. You know what he did? He lied on his resume. That's what he did.
He's like, I've trained for 65 years. It's like, no. You're like 2. You can't train for 65 years.
My body has been rebuilt 10 times.
Yeah.
I am a full machine, super automation, and then. Okay.
Just nothing happens, yeah. And like, one thing that I also see like some people complaining about and some people talking about is the romance in the game. Romance options, right? Impressions.
They're okay. There's one is better than any of the others, in my personal opinion. the Pan Am line is just it's such a great story, and like great missions
Yep.
related to it. The other ones are just they're okay, I guess.
Like,
You know,
I think
like
my issue with it is just that there's no sense of progression. Like, I'm used to, like, maybe I don't know if I'm old fashioned or whatever, but like I'm just like I like the Pan Am's one because Pan Am seems to gradually open up to you. Like, she didn't like you in the
yeah,
beginning. She's like wary of you, you can say.
yeah,
And she just gradually opens up and then she likes you. The other ones literally flip like this. Like, one day they wake up and they're like, oh, I'm in love with V.
yeah,
Like, it's just so random to me, you know, and it's like it doesn't feel like it's natural, and it's just awkward. Like, for example, the one of the options, like River Ward, the
yeah,
detective, I didn't even see it coming.
yeah. I
Like,
didn't even. I was just like,
he's
wait, what?
inviting me to make jambalaya with him, and I'm like, all right, I
Oh,
mean, cool.
dinner.
It's like it's a family dinner, whatever kind of deal. I'm chill. It's to repay me for helping them with their family. Chill, I
Yeah,
get it. Then it gets a little bit awkward where I'm getting like weird ass hints, you know, like here and there. You know, I actually no, not gonna lie, I thought the mother was trying, like the sister was trying to get after me, dude. You didn't think so? Like,
I
she.
mean, I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Like,
Have you
I was
ever watched a movie where someone constantly says, "I really don't know how to ever repay you," like
oh my
constantly,
god,
like 3 times in the same sentence? How do you not get feelings of like
you're
something
like,
is
yo,
off?
she into me? Is that what?
Yeah, like she like are you implying something? Like what am I supposed to pick my speech options carefully now? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and then it's like and then
Yeah,
we like and then he you know he saves us from the situation. It's like, let's go drinking. I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. Bros drinking, we sit on a roof, no big deal, let's just drink.
yeah,
Suddenly you're talking about stuff, and then there's like a kiss option. I'm like, what the fuck, and where the hell did this come from? Like,
yeah. That came out of nowhere, and it was just like, wait a minute, what? This is a date? What? Like,
yeah, I'm like, dude, what? Like, maybe we're misinterpreting something, but like I'm definitely misinterpreting something
but
here.
I totally thought it was just like two guys just chilling after a mission, you know? Like,
Exactly. I'm like, is it
there,
you
there,
who's after me, or is it your sister who's after me? I'm confused now. Like,
there, there, there- yeah, there was no like for example with Pan Am, it was gradual, like you said. Like you tried, you know, you tried something prior, like you're just like, I want to try to explore this, and she's like, I really want to, but I'm scared or whatever, and you're like, okay, so about her. But then comes River Ward here, and you're just like, whoa, wait, we're kissing now? Like, what was this? Wait, what?
Wait, what happened? You know,
Wait,
it's like,
like, I was just so confused because it came out of nowhere, and then and then obviously there's Judy and there's who else
Carrie.
was it? Carrie, but yeah, I mean I could care
Like,
less. Like
Judy, you get to work with her a lot, but I really maybe I haven't played it with a female character who is the one that you can romance her with.
yeah,
And so I'm not sure. I can't be really accurate on this, but it doesn't really give me a signal that it seems to have any progress. Because I think up to the last mission where you can actually romance her, there
yeah,
doesn't seem to be that much in terms of like getting to know. It's always us trying to screw some shit up, basically. We're gonna blow
yeah,
something up, we're gonna take over a club, something,
yeah,
and it's like it's like all of these are curveballs. They just come out of nowhere to me. And it's just
yeah,
really weird. But what do you think
yeah.
about the options? Like, do you think there's too many, too little, just enough? Like, what do you think?
I think it's too little
Too little. Okay.
to be honest, because other games like Dragon Age or any most games that have romance options have like almost anyone that you like is in like your crew, you can romance or try to
See, that
romance at
was
least.
that was the complaint that people had at some point, right? They were like, that in Mass Effect, it's not it's like just because everyone's in your crew doesn't mean they're just gonna open up to you and you can bang everybody. Like that's what the people's concerns were.
I that wasn't considered a mind playing Mass Effect. Like,
You didn't care. You're just like, I'm not complaining.
listen. If you're not picking Talia, there's something wrong with you. but it's just like it's like okay, like you spend so much time with Takamura, for example. not an option. You spend, you know, I don't know. It's just something that's like I feel like anyone that was in your crew you could have really like maybe some of the fixers. I don't know, because like for example, like Regina Jones, cyber psychosis girl. Yeah, you literally talk to her like all the time now. 'Cause you're doing
Literally all the time.
you're doing all these missions for her, and then like it's nothing, right? And it's just like okay, like you have like four options, two per gender or body type that you choose,
Right.
and it's just like okay, it's
Just
okay.
it's okay kind of deal, right?
Yeah, Pan Am's was really done really well in my personal opinion. I guess it's just my preference, but the other ones didn't. I didn't really feel anything for.
I think there was actually enough. I just think that the characters are really weird. So like specifically, I think I'm okay with all three of them. I just have an issue with River. Um he's just he came out of the blue. Like I don't know where he came from. Like
Yeah,
Carrie, I kind of dig because like I understand where he comes from. He's a old friend of Johnny. That's where you get this connection, and then you bond over some other stupid stuff. Fine, whatever. Judy,
yeah,
you've been working with since the start. Also fine.
makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Pan Am is basically your contact in the Badlands. Okay, whatever. Like I don't know who I would nominate as the fourth one to be completely honest, but still
I think
something.
I'd rather Takamura than River Ward, personally. I don't know.
I'd
So
rather.
like
You know who I would rather actually like for his
Victor.
spot? Victor.
Yeah, yeah, all right, yeah.
Victor, I think would make sense.
Yeah,
Right.
he's your Ripper Doc, you know?
He's your Ripper Doc. He's a friend of yours since you came into this city. You've known each other for a long time in Night City timeline. Like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And River is just some really obnoxiously side character that nobody should really care about. And I don't understand why he's even an option. I think is my issue with it.
I think it was probably something that they were just like shit, we need a male option for
They just drew lots to be like, oh, River won it. All right, are we going with River?
I guess it's also maybe the voice actors. Might have been something related to voice actors. Just speculation, obviously.
Of course, but yeah,
But,
I mean,
because like they have to say something during these things, and maybe
Victor's guy's like, I refuse to speak such corny lines. No,
yeah, he's just like, bitch, I'm a boxing champ. Like, get the hell out of here.
So I think overall characters are a little disappointing. I think generally there's some that are really good, shining examples like Pan Am, Jackie, Takemura for me in some cases. But then there's just some people that we really wish we could have known more. Like just a lot more like connection build up that would make me actually care about them and make me more reluctant to like leave Night City or die in that case.
Yeah.
And moving on, we're gonna go into like. Sorry, did you have something you wanted to add?
No. I was just agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah. So like, moving on, we're moving into combat. So combat in this game is, I think, actually really well done for the most part. There are some things that are going to be, I would say, flawed, but I think the ambition to have a very diverse combat style, I think, is really well executed. So, like, let's start with shooting, for example. Like, shooting, there's, like, a few things that I think are important and, like, problematic at the same time.
Yeah.
So the first one is, like, the different types of, like, the gun types. So the gun types, for example, there's smart weapons, which are basically as long as you have, like, a aimbot. Yeah, like, your bullets basically track their targets. And you have power weapons, which are your bullets ricochet. I don't even like know if that like it just ricochets off surfaces. It bounces everywhere. Yeah, and then there's tech weapons, which are you charge them and they shoot like energized, stronger version of a bullet.
Yeah.
And I admire that they thought of these three different types, but my issue with it is that the tech one is really useless because it's hard to actually charge the gun in a real combat situation.
Yeah,
The smart one is broken, because
absolutely.
yeah, like auto targets it. What games are banning like
The
what
aimbot.
is aimbots for a reason? You know, that's like that's like this thing kills stuff behind cover. Like they just go behind the cover and shoot you. That's how
Yeah,
broken it is. And like power, which is the ricochet one, has like extremely low feedback in terms of player. Like I don't know if it's ricochet,
I have no idea.
right? Like
I have no idea.
exactly.
Like
I just have
I,
like
I was thinking like, oh, maybe you can use a ricochet to like hit a guy behind cover by hitting the wall behind him, and
right.
but
Like a grenade, like it bounces off
it
kind of thing. Like
bounces. Not the case.
I don't even know what that means. I'm like, what does ricochet even mean in this game? Like I know what it means literally, but like why? Like
Yeah,
what does it matter? You know?
yeah.
Like what do you think about shooting?
Uh, like I guess we're gonna talk about this a little later, but the AI is just like the shooting. Shooting feels good if you're moving and shooting. Like in my opinion,
Really? You don't
uh,
like the cover system?
I don't like the cover system because it's just it's not my play style. If I'm shooting, I like moving around.
Like running and gunning mobile kind of thing.
Yeah, like I like moving from cover to cover and shooting and tossing a grenade, flashing them, whatever. Um, I never really messed with smart weapons because I thought they were just like it's kind of boring. I
I
like
got
aiming.
lazy. I'm like I can't aim, so I'm just gonna use smart weapons.
Yeah, so I generally I actually preferred the tech shotgun because I thought it was kind of funny how you can just like blast like five people onto the ground with a charged shot.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just mainly like I had an assault rifle, uh, a sniper or shotgun depending on what I was doing,
Right.
and then a silenced revolver. But that's the shooting was okay for me. I mean, it was okay.
It's okay. So like not too good, not too
It's
bad
not
kind
it's
of
not
thing.
a revolutionary shooting system platform kind of game. It's part of the game, yeah, but it's not like anything. Like we're just used to this kind of shooting, like this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think
It's
one
just
thing that is actually in the game that is actually to me underused or like even just neglected is like the damage types, I think.
oh
Like
yes,
the damage like when I first saw the weapons, I saw like, like I don't know, chemical damage,
chemical
thermal
damage.
damage, whatever damage. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I scan people and they're like, "Oh, they have resistances. This one takes 30% more fire, 30% more electricity, 30% something else, right?"
Yeah,
But honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like it's not a big deal. Like I'm playing this game now on very hard just to try it out and see if I thought it was like, more like it only applies if you play higher difficulties.
yeah,
And it doesn't. Like yeah, I'll take like maybe 2 less bullets, but like does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? No, not really.
no,
And it's like why build a system when you're not going to use it in the game? Like it's like as if it might as well not exist is my issue with it.
yeah. I was super confused. I saw that people had resistances, but they were still dying to bullets to the head. I was just like, okay, all right.
Like what is the point at this
Why
right?
this is chemical damage, and this guy has some resist, but I'm still like one shotting him in the head. Like it's just like, okay, maybe my gun is just too powerful. But then again, it was just even in gunfights, I was just whittling them down if they weren't like super like over leveled. But
Right.
it wasn't impactful. Like it was like it wouldn't be like you were doing like in my opinion, if you had to resist a chem, for example, if I use the chem weapon on you, I'm fucked.
Like
That's
you're
how I
doing like 50% less damage, like
or
you're like
even less. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it would have been like this is nearly negligible. I have to use a different weapon.
like I have to change my gun to a different weapon type because like this is gonna be like, and I don't
Yeah,
expect this to be done in normal difficulty. Like normal difficulty, whatever. I don't give a
yeah,
damn.
right,
But if I'm playing very hard, I expect something like this to occur. Like I need a
yeah,
penalty. I need to be punished if I'm gonna shoot something at someone whose damage is what they're resistant to. Because
exactly.
otherwise, what is the point of you giving me this thing?
Right.
Right.
It's like that's the thing I found is the stats on on those weapons. I was just not like caring. I was just seeing DPS or damage per shot.
That's
Uh,
basically the number you care about, like DPS. That's it. Like
yeah, I was just like, okay, this thing has 5 more DPS. I'm gonna take it.
it's an upgrade. It's
It's an
easy to
upgrade.
read.
Yeah.
And what
So
about like melee, for example? I know like
oh,
melee, so there's two types of melee combat. There's swords and then there's blunt, which is usually like hammers, pipes, whatever kind of deal.
yeah. So I haven't messed with any of the blunt weapons just because I like the idea of having a katana.
Yeah, that's always like the cooler part of it, yeah.
Yeah. Uh it's definitely satisfying when you do like a power attack with a katana on an enemy.
It's like
You,
yeah.
you like decapitate them or like slice them in half. Like it's so cool. But and then like daggers. There's daggers in the game. Completely useless. They're super short range. By the time you get into range, because with the katana or like the bigger blunt weapons, you have some reach.
Yeah, like you can get them a little bit quicker before they
Yeah,
do something.
but the dagger, you literally have to be in their face to do anything, and you're just like, all right, listen, buddy, I'm gonna die. I'm playing very hard here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna die before I even reach you.
Yeah,
But
they're gonna fill you with lead by the time you're getting there, basically.
yeah, I have to be I have to be pre-stimming as I'm charging. That's what has to happen.
Otherwise, otherwise you're in trouble because in hard difficulty, like they can down you in less than like 5 bullets, basically.
so quick, so
Yeah,
quick.
and I think for me, like I actually really like the system and the fact that I like the impact of the weapons. Like it feels like I'm actually dishing out the damage. The only thing I have a problem with is the camera. I can't
Especially
see anything.
Yeah.
With melee. Like, well, guns, whatever. Like, guns is just about aiming, basically, aiming down sights. Melee, I'm constantly disoriented. Like, I'm like slashing. I don't know where the enemy is. Like, I'm like, am I slashing this way, left? Sometimes they're behind me because I just ran past them. Like, I'm so lost with my weapons that it's really hard for me to pay attention. And I think like that's one of the rare times where I think like a third person mod might actually be useful there, just because it really disorients me when I'm doing a first person version of it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate like what they're doing with like the crits and like the crit versus stun. Katanas are all about critting. You do a lot of crits, you do some bleeding, and the hammers are all about stuns. You stunning them, they can't fight back because the impact is just too heavy. And I like that diversity in playstyle. Like they're trying to make it a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think the most like the thing that you're most proficient at in your playthrough was like stealth, right? Like using silencers and stuff like that. Why don't you talk to me about that? Because I didn't use any of the silencers.
So, in my personal opinion, when you're playing very hard, you have to play this game on stealth. Like, you try to play this game on stealth as like a stealth operator because it's just you'll die if you don't. Like,
they just gun you down basically.
They'll gun you down until you get to like better gear, but you'll just die every single time. Like you lose every gunfight. Or like you have to literally shoot somebody, you almost die, run away, come back, shoot
like
again,
a hit and run guerrilla kind of type of warfare.
And it's not really whatever. But the stealth in this game is really interesting. Silencers are super useful. They have like a unique thing where they do more headshot damage, but they have an overall damage decrease. You're doing more damage if you hit the head, definitely. But if you don't hit nothing, but if you don't hit anything, if you don't hit the head,
if you don't hit anything, nothing dies.
Exactly. No, if you don't hit the head, then you're doing peanuts for damage. Like, you're not doing any damage at all. But headshots, like beautiful, and the higher grade, the silencer, the disparity in damage is great, is lessened. So, definitely, and it's more challenging because like running and gunning, it's all the same after a while. But every time you do something, and if you do it stealth, it's always different. Like layouts are different, guard paths are different.
It's so tense too, right? When you see that eye symbol pop up, you're like, someone's about to stop you. You're like, oh my god, please.
Let me back up.
Exactly, right? Like it's like you're it gives you that tense atmosphere, like, and sometimes like like when you're trying to go get someone and someone's patrol pass just starts coming by, you're like, oh my god, I need to run and hide somewhere. It's like
or end that guy's life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which is great because you have to play smart. You have to plan your plan of action, right? You have to be like, okay, I'm gonna hit this guy, hide his body, or hit these two guys, then hide that guy's body, because then Buddy is gonna be patrolling this way soon, and it's just it makes it it definitely makes it a unique experience because
It
the gunning.
changes it up from just like shooting something. It gives you, even if
Exactly,
it's the same mission, you do it again and you do it stealth, you have an entirely different feeling about that mission.
exactly.
And I think one thing also is that it's really, it makes it more important to use quick hacks in that, in stealth. Like
Yeah.
you can use it to shut down cameras. Mostly of the time you're using it to distract people, so you use it to, some light turns on or something, and it
Hmm.
really causes you start manipulating how people will face you or where they're going. So you start isolating people, and it gives like another depth of difficulty to it, but it rewards you, right? Because even though you're trying to take this slower now than like a gunning gameplay, you're it rewards you because most of the time you can insta kill everybody. You don't need
Yeah.
bullets, you don't need weapons, it doesn't matter. You can just they're dead. So it's like,
Exactly.
I think stealth is actually the best part in terms of gameplay that this game has done so far.
Yeah. This game definitely, if you play it as a like a in a stealthier way, you definitely get more of a challenge, and it's more unique. Every mission is like just
Yeah,
like
instead of
you're
just
like
running gun kind of deal.
yeah. And we'll touch upon that a little later, but
Yeah. And I think like the last type of combat is quick hack. So in this game, there are things called net runners. So net runners are the ones usually, they're like, zzz, and then they fry someone's implants or they use cameras and stuff. I think quick hacks are really interesting. Like, I would imagine something like Watchdog Legions would be something similar to this, where you just hack into people's stuff and get something to happen.
yep.
It does have a thing where it can get a little bland, because once you upgrade your components to legendary, like all the quick hacks, it basically becomes a very, like, you basically have like god mode, and you just map hack everybody. So when there's this thing called ping. So what happens is when you upload ping into a system, it pings all the stuff that it's connected to in the system. So basically, usually a group of people are all connected together. So if you ping one of them, you see all the rest of them. So what legendary level ping lets you do is you can target everyone, even if they're like walls away, behind cover, anywhere. And basically at that point, you can just kill everyone without moving at the entrance. And it's
Yeah.
it's really cool. At first you get the like, oh my god, I'm so broken, I can do all of this. But then later on it just gets really, really boring. Like it becomes a playstyle where it can get stale really fast. And it
Yeah.
really struggles in like, for example, like cyber psychos. If you're against them and um you don't get to breach protocol, so all your all your quick hacks cost a lot, it gets
Yeah.
really difficult because you're not really doing a lot of upfront damage per se. You really have to bring your gun out, complement it with the playstyle. So it's like kind of deal. I think it's really good, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the enemies? So like the enemy like AIs and stuff like that.
Man, I have a problem with enemy AI. So this is why I try to promote stealth so much. If you go in guns blazing, the enemy is going to act the same way every single time. People with melee weapons are going to rush at you. People with guns are going to hide in cover, blind fire, and then occasionally peek out of cover. And it's you're literally fighting the same like animations. Doesn't matter what enemy you're fighting. Like if they have a melee weapon, they're sprinting at you. If they have a gun, they're behind cover, and it's just like it's just after a while you're like, dude, I'm literally fighting the same scenario. There's two guys running at me. There's five guys in cover, and then it's just
It
it
makes it very
gets
predictable. Like you know what they're gonna do
yeah.
basically.
Like I know all I have to do if I start a gunfight is hide behind some tall cover, uh, wait for the melee guys to come up to me, shoot them in the face, and then just methodically take out everyone else. And it's just, I wait for their blind fire. They're gonna poke their heads, shoot them in the head, and then it's rinse and repeat. Um,
Right.
and yeah, it's the AI in stealth. Like when you're doing stealth, is really interesting. Like if you don't hide the body and say buddy finds body, like his buddy finds the body, you get to everyone on the station gets alert, everyone in the mission gets alert, and they stay on alert because their buddy dies. In like other games where after like 10 like a minute, they'll be like, okay, back to normal, and everyone's not on alert. But
Yeah,
if
like they
you
somehow
don't
forget that their buddy has just been killed. It's like,
right, Right, but in this game they don't do that. As soon as they find the one dead body for the rest of the mission, you're on alert, and everyone is on edge. So they'll spot you quicker, even if you're stealth. They'll if they spot you, the eyeball is going to turn on way quicker,
Yeah.
and it's just that other thing of why stealth is so interesting because it's actually feels like you're being like the Mission Impossible, like you can't be seen kind of thing. So
It's almost like
yeah.
they built the game around stealth first. Like, it's like we're
Oh,
putting all the resources around stealth, and then we're gonna go deal with like the actual combat since it's like more brain dead.
oh yeah, like that's the thing. Every mission you can do it stealth. Like every single mission you can do it stealth.
Right.
Uh, and that's just
Except
like
like
okay,
story missions. Some story missions you can't do
yeah,
stealth, I think.
some sort of mission, like yeah, those missions where it's like you're more on rails,
Yeah.
so whatever. But every other mission is just there's always a stealth option. You can literally go in and get out without even killing a person. There's always that option, which I actually want to try one time, but I know I'm
The
gonna
the
fail.
pacifist mode. You don't
Yeah,
harm a single life in this entire game.
you can knock them out. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be fair, but you don't kill
A
anyone.
non-lethal takedown option.
Exactly. Well, actually, there is like upgrades that you can do that make all your guns non-lethal,
Right. Yeah.
but
And it,
but that's just dumb. But anyways, yeah. What about you? What do you think?
um I agree with you. Like, the AI can be a little bit better. They're very predictable. They're not exactly the smartest people, which I think is kind of sad considering that um like they are you're going to be facing a lot of people in Night City, like
Mhm.
whoever it is. And the enemy and the combat I wish could have been better just because the AI would make it more entertaining. And like you
Yeah,
said, like, it's really where the stealth parts are where the AI is like brought to life. Like they're actually seem more realistic. Whereas in combat, they're just kind of like everyone runs the same generic engine. They're like, I'm doing this, you're doing that because I have this weapon and you have this weapon. And some of
yeah,
them throw grenades and stuff like that. Yeah, some like they know how to hide in cover, which is great. But sometimes they don't leave the damn cover, which is also irritating. Like they just hide there forever,
yeah,
which is kind of weird. Um, but I think overall, like, the AI could be improved. It's not the greatest. It's like
yeah,
it's like acceptable at best, I would say, or
yeah.
barely acceptable.
It gets the job done, but you know you don't want it for Cyberpunk 2077 Part Two.
Yeah, definitely. You need to improve that one at least.
Yeah,
And so, like, moving on to like the last section, which is more like the other parts of it, like random other bits of it, right? It's like
yeah.
crafting. So there is a crafting system in this game. Some of you might not even know it exists, I swear, because you probably will never use it. And I don't like it. Is probably the shortest way I can describe it. There's just too many things that are wrong with it that I almost believe it shouldn't exist. Um, First of all, the way you craft things is you click a button that says craft. You have to hold it until a bar is finished loading, and then it crafts, which is actually ridiculous because if I'm trying to craft multiple things at the same time, like components, ammo, grenades, I don't know if I'm crafting. Like, I need to constantly click it forever. Click and hold, click and hold,
Yeah.
click and hold. Like, that's even worse than just clicking it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there's also no sense of feedback on the screen. Like, if I'm making ammo, I know I made ammo, but I don't know how much ammo I have. So I just make like 20
Yeah,
until I feel like I have enough.
yeah,
Right? It's like I don't know what I'm doing. The and also a lot of the guns that you want, you have to buy their recipes, like their crafting recipes, which I think is stupid because I'm like, I'm already strapped for cash. I already don't have enough money to buy all my implants, all my guns, all my mods, all my clothes, all my everything. Why am I
exactly.
wasting it buying recipes? Just give me the recipes. Like, leave maybe like the legendary weapon recipes that you can pick up on loot. Fine, I get it. Like they're
Or even
legendary,
make
they're
it a
rare
mission.
stuff. What?
You can make it a mission. Like,
Yeah,
I
make
don't
it a mission. Go find this one guy who makes like really good
know, gunsmith.
recipes, or a blacksmith. Some kind of person. But like, why am I going around hunting for like an epic version of a gun that I just craft? And the problem is shopkeepers are RNG too. So right, so their stock constantly replenishes, but they replenish with uncertain items. Like they roll on like a loot table or something. So you have to constantly bet RNG to find it. And I'm like, why? Right? Like it's just so stupid. It makes me not want to craft, even though I think crafting is cool, right? And like, and the worst part is like, the biggest trap in this game is like, level, like basically the first level of perks in the technical ability is you can scrap all your junk.
Auto scrap.
Auto scrap, yeah, it auto scraps all your regular level junks.
Yeah.
And why is that an issue, Adriano? Enlighten us.
So yeah, that is the biggest trap in this game.
Don't ever click it, guys. Don't ever do it.
Don't ever upgrade it. It's a trap. Don't do it. General Akbar is over here. He's like, yo, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah, you get so much money from selling junk. It's not even funny. It's my main source of income. Junk. It's just how I make money in Night City is I sell junk. You get, so imagine this. You can sell junk, $17,000 or eddies or whatever. You can, that's like, it's a typical, like, after like, a few missions of just collecting everything, right? However, if you were to auto scrap that, you maybe get like one uncommon crafting material and 100,000 common crafting materials.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I need crafting. I was trying to explore crafting, and it just auto uh, dismantles junk.
Like,
and
why
it's
wouldn't you
just like,
take it, right? It's so convenient, right? Because it's not even convenient to scrap them, because every time there's more than one, you have to click this bar, and it's like, I want to scrap all of them, and it's like really stupid.
It's no, I'm not. It's you lose hundreds of thousands of eddies. Just like if you click that, you're already in debt. You're in debt. Just accept the fact that you're
Accept
not gonna,
accept you're losing, basically.
yeah, you just accept that you're only gonna wear or only gonna use what you find on the floor and off other people, because you.
And I think that's enough. That's the worst bit, right? That's enough, honestly.
Yeah,
Most of the time, that's enough. Like the only time I would use crafting is to upgrade weapons.
Yeah,
and there's no point in crafting it, honestly. And
No.
some of those junks are worth 750 eddies each. That's a
Right.
lot of money.
Like that's just in comparison. There's certain cyberware that's like 15, 20, 30,000 eddies. So having a piece of junk that sells for 750 is huge.
Exactly.
So, but the thing is, you scrap that piece of junk, you're getting an uncommon crafting material, which is just
zero eddies. First of all, zero eddies.
you can't sell your components. So good luck. And you're just like, okay, well,
You're screwed, like, basically. Like,
yeah, I think you lose the game.
You basically lose the game. You actually make, I swear, you can actually make, depending on the loot you get, you can actually make more money off the junk than you can from the fixer paying you. That's how sad it is sometimes.
That's how I was doing it. Like, I was just going around collecting all the junk, selling it, and I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I have like 150,000 eddies, and I didn't do any of the main missions. I was just like going around. Yeah. So, yeah, don't auto scrap junk. That's a trap. Don't do it. This is a PSA. Do not do it.
PSA, don't do it. Don't even level that skill. It's like a big trap.
Listen, don't even open up the tech tree, the technical tree. Don't do it. That's all a trap.
Honestly, yeah, pretty much. Like, there's really not much of a point doing it.
Yeah, there is no point.
Yeah. But, and like, actually, you mentioned this as well, right? Like, what do you think about the implants in this game? Because one of the things about Cyberpunk 2077 is we're all basically cyborgs. We're not really entirely flesh and blood humans, except like a small bunch of monks, basically. Yeah. And we can buy implants from Ripper docs, which are like their equivalent of doctors, I guess you can say. And we can put these implants onto like ourselves, and they give us different stats, like stamina or like some crit chance or something. Like, what are your feelings about implants?
Uh, they're definitely interesting. The ones I'm more interested about are the legs and arm implants.
Mm-hmm.
Being the ability to double jump or to like do a charge jump is really cool. Adds another like dynamic to the game. Mantis blades are so freaking awesome. They're literally so cool. Uh, yeah, those aspects are cool. Then there's a bunch of like random stat stuff that you're just like, okay, like I have never experienced, you know, bleeding. Like I don't know if I need something that helps me to stop bleeding. Like I don't even know. And but yeah, like mantis blades, which like are basically like giant swords that stick out of your forearms.
It's the
Those are
one you
so
see in the trailer initially, like the long, long
exact
time ago.
exactly. Those are so sick. The one where you do a power jump where you like charge and you jump super high in the air, super cool. Uh, definitely, I have that now in my very hard build. It's so funny. It's so much fun. Just like jumping over like a bunch of people and then slicing them from behind. Hilarious. I love it. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, I think for me, implants are really cool as in they add another depth to your character and the good thing is usually the stats that are attributed to what is required for the implant helps you with the actual things you're doing. For example, if you're an intelligence based player, you're probably going with quick hacks. And all the implants you get usually help you in terms of implants. You get more RAM, you get some cyber hack RAMs back, your quick hacks do more damage, something like that.
Yeah,
And like if you're strength, you probably use blunt weapons or something. You get more stamina, health,
yeah,
etc. And I think that's really cool. It does kind of feel bad when I like have some slots where I just can't afford not afford, but like I can't have an implant because I don't have the stats for it. So some of my screen looks really empty sometimes. I guess
yeah.
that's kind of bad for me. I was looking forward to even some weaker versions. I guess I can
Like
buy
just
like
like
some.
fill out every slot. Like you want it to be fully decked out
Yeah,
inside
I
the
want to
way.
be like fully like I want to be like an Atom Smasher, but like a good version. Not like his trash version, basically.
Yeah,
And I also kind of wish that it would kind of show on that character, but that's like a little bit too much, though. Like, a little bit
yeah.
asking for too much.
I would have. I think there is though. I think like how
The
you get
arms would, yeah, the hands, yeah,
the hand one. Like if you get gorilla arms, you'll see the knuckles.
yeah,
If you get the tiger claws like tattoo for smart weapons, it'll show up on your forearm sometimes when you use a melee weapon. So like that's like kind of interesting, but everything else is just like you have no idea it's
yeah.
there, and you're just like,
It's like just a passive buff, basically.
yeah.
What about the tech trees, though?
Tech trees, for me personally, a little overwhelming. There's a lot of trees. There's six main trees, and each tree has two to three inner trees,
Like just
and
a
it's
lot of stuff going on, basically. Like,
yeah, there's like which is great, but also it's just like what do I really spec into? It's kind of like you have to take like a good amount of time to like read throughout the tree and like kind of plan out what it is you want to do. But at that first like impact, it's super complex, super intimidating. To just look at because it's just like okay, there's for example, there's strength, and then there's three trees in strength where it's like machine gun or shotguns, and then like street brawlers or whatever. And it's just like, oh man, like it's a lot.
just a lot of stuff going on, basically.
Yeah,
I think the I like the variety.
yeah,
I'm just not too fond of the I don't like the fact that it really punishes a balanced player. So a player who wants to go around all the stats, they get
yeah,
punished because you really want to go all in on like your trees to get the maximum benefit from them.
yeah.
So
You
I guess like
definitely,
that's kind of like the thing.
yeah. That like it's like you're kind of forced to spec heavily into one and a half trees. Uh, and then it's just like, well, if you were someone that wanted to do some hacking, some stealth, some, sword play or whatever, you can't really do that efficiently, especially later on, especially in hard, very hard. You definitely need to spec into do like one focus, really. Um, but yeah, that's like a little thing, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's like it's great because there's so much variety that you mentioned,
Yeah, there's like a
so
huge variety in things you can pick from. But the other thing I have a gripe with is like beyond just putting your stat points, there's these things called progression bars, which is like in like kind of like Skyrim, where the more you use something, the better you get, and you get like more levels into it, right? But those ones take so damn long. Like
Oh, forever. I haven't maxed one out yet, and
I've never maxed one out. Like I think I was using a character that was just doing nothing but shooting, and I think the maximum I got was like level 14.
Yeah, that was my shooting playthrough with the assault
Like
rifles.
I'm just confused about like what they expected. Like I would have to grind like a WoW mission, like a daily mission, basically, of doing pointless missions just to help me level up this thing.
You essentially had to grind if you wanted to max it out.
Which doesn't make sense, right? Like I kind of expected that if I used it enough,
Yeah,
I would get to 20.
I was hoping that before the last mission, I would get like maxed out.
Right.
Not the case.
Not even
Yeah,
close. I'm just like, how do they expect you to get to level 20? Like,
you
is it
literally
like
have to,
supposedly you're never supposed to reach, or like what is it?
like you would have to actually grind in terms of like run around the city, look for crimes, kill enemies, and it's
Like for nothing else other than to just get your progression bar. You're not doing it for eddies. You're not doing anything. You're just literally doing it just to get that progression skill up, which is crazy.
yeah. There is benefits to getting it up, like certain trees.
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
perks, you get damage, you get some other things
yeah.
unlocked, but it's just really stupid in like how long it takes to
How long?
progress
Yeah,
it.
it was just like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, it progressively got worse. Like every level made the next level even harder to get,
Yeah, it
and
like
you're just
ramps up really, really hard.
yeah, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to kill maybe another like 5,000 people.
We have to empty Night City, commit a genocide in Night City just to level up a skill. That's how bad it's become. And I think that really reflects on like your character not feeling like powerful enough. You know, it's like you feel like you're like weaker than you should be, even though you're not really. But like you just feel, just because you look at the levels, you're not really as strong as you could be.
Yeah,
And the other thing that makes you feel really useless is the stat screen, like the interface that you get. Why does that even exist?
yeah.
Right? Like
I've learned nothing from
you don't need to learn. You learn nothing because everything is zero, right?
yeah,
Your and the worst part is the stats. I'm pretty sure, but they don't take into account your weapons. So I
yeah,
don't even know, like for example, if I'm using this gun, what are my stats looking like? If I use this weapon, what are my
yeah.
stats looking like? But no, it only shows you what your generic stats are looking like, and that's not even accurate. Maybe it doesn't even give me like an amount of like, and all these zeros are there, and just makes me feel like, am I really bad at this game? Like, am I doing something wrong? You know, like
It's so strange because like we touched upon this with resistances and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's just like, why are there all these stats and they absolutely mean nothing? Like for example, my gun will say, you know, 90 DPS, let's say,
right.
right? But every shot is like 300.
What does
Like,
that mean? Like, why?
like where did this number come from? Like even if I applied crit to it, like it should not be 300. Like it didn't make any sense. I was just like, what? And then like the sniper shots, like I was doing like 40,000 damage. I was just like, whoa, what?
Yeah, like like, and the gun says like like 1,000 damage to 1,700 or something like that, like some number like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, what? Where did this come from?
Like how am I doing all this damage? But like nobody tells me anything, and it's like your resistances. I'm like, what does resistance even matter? Like how
Yeah.
many people actually do resistance based damage to me? Like like
And armor.
netrunners
And armor.
and armor.
What is
Yeah,
it?
armor.
What is
What
it?
does the armor do? What is it telling me? I know more is better, but that's basically it.
I'm convinced that I'm just gonna, if I find something that like, yo, that's a cool shirt, I'm just gonna wear that shirt the entire game.
Yeah, it's just like it's cool. It's like rule of cool, not just rule of good. You know, it's like
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, especially on very hard people. No matter what you wear, you're gonna die if you don't play it smart.
right. Like you, I don't think
It-
there's an armor state where you would be like, I'm a tank. You know, I
I'm
can
a
tank. I can tank hits. You know, that
Right?
won't exist.
Like that's what I thought it implied. I'm like, oh, this has a higher armor stat. I must be able to like, absorb more damage. But here I am still getting 3-shot. So I was just like, all right.
Yeah, like what is going on? Like what the hell is happening? You know, like it doesn't really make any sense. It just provides some really conflicting, and I think that's probably by far the worst thing that they've made in this whole game so far. like that
Mm.
interface system, it's just a disaster. Basically, I don't even know what the hell I'm supposed to be looking at. But yeah,
Yeah,
to like wrap up the whole thing, like any like final thoughts on the game?
great game. Get it on PC. Get yourself a nice graphics card though, because it's demanding.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot of your computer.
Yeah, maybe upgrade your storage so it's a little quicker on the loads. But yeah, a great game. Highly recommend. I love it. It's a lot of fun. I have my gripes with it, but that's because I like it so much. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't care. But yeah, that's I'll give it if I were to give it a rating out of 10, uh I would say like a 6.5, 7.
All right, six and
I
a
would
half,
say.
7. All right.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's
I'm
what I would
actually not
say.
gonna lie. I actually thought of this through the whole thing too, and that's actually the number that I was gonna arrive at too, like 6.5, 7, 7 max, 6.5,
Yeah.
7. And
It,
yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
no, no, continue, continue,
Yeah,
continue.
I was saying like 6.5, 7. Like it's a really good game. It has a really good premise, really nice world. Characters are honestly not bad,
Yeah.
and it's just really minor things that could be polished, or even could be completely neglected. Honestly, just taken out of the game. Honestly,
Yeah.
and it could have been so much better, like if it was just refined a little bit more, but overall, for it, even for its price tag, which is a AAA title, like $80, I still think it's worth it. Like it's worth the $80 price tag
Oh,
on
yeah.
PC. um
So
yeah.
what I generally do with AAA games, if I pay, so I'm planning to continue playing this game. So I have like I think it's like 20 to 30 hours on it.
Right.
And I see myself playing it a lot more. Generally speaking, if you can get $1 per hour, so per hour of gameplay, imagine it. If it's an $80 game, you should get 80 hours worth of experience out of it.
Okay.
That's how I like kind of like generally like think about my games.
Right, right, right.
And I definitely see 80 plus hours into this game. Like I can if I really delve deep into it, I'm sure I can do like 100, 120 hours into this game and still feel like I'm playing
Like a
like I'm
fresh
still.
content kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I highly recommend. And yeah, and I've looked on the PS4 or the trophies I get. There's a lot of interesting trophies. So I'm excited when I get my PS5 to play it on PS5 for the trophies.
Do you
Oh
have
yeah,
one yet, or are you still waiting in line for it?
I'm waiting. I'm not gonna. I haven't ordered it yet. I'm just no,
You
no
didn't
scalp.
get into the initial queue for it, right?
No, I'm just gonna wait it out. My PS4 is still fine. I'm not playing any like CyberPunk games on it. But yeah,
Yeah, I think overall, I think it's a great game. It's definitely worth it. If you enjoy this type of game, you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. And I think, yeah, like that's basically, I think we're both in quite agreement of like our score and our ratings towards the game.
yeah.
So that'll be it for this episode of Tavern Musings. Next episode, we are going to be discussing about things that we are could improve about the game, like what could be made better, a little bit more refined, what could be taken out, a more realistic approach of looking at the game. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed what you saw today, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are interested in seeing more content from this. And until then, we'll see you next time. Take care.
See you later. Take care, guys.